Greetings. I am Dr. Andrea Hall, the author of the Metaphysical Love Stories. If you like your romance with a deeper twist, stick around because today I will be reading from chapter 10 entitled God in Me. I will be reading raw and uncut. So let's just do it. At the hospital, concentrating on caring for my tiny patients, thoughts of Joseph left my mind. Near the end of the shift, the chief of neonatology, Dr. Wendy Squires, entered the NICU to give the new neonatology fellowship residents a tour of the department. A striking, long and lean, blue eyed platinum blonde, Dr. Squires was brilliant and charming when collaborating with her physician peers. However, she didn't bother to hide her disdain for nurses, often making belittling remarks in reference to us and insisting we address her solely as Dr. Squires. By contrast, the physicians working alongside nurses in the NICU preferred to be called by their first names when not in the presence of patients. Relationships between NICU nurses and physicians depended on their ability to trust in each other's knowledge, skill, and proficiency to perform their critical duties together. Interactions between them remained amicable and respectful. It wasn't unusual to hear one of them apologize on behalf of their chief after she left the room. Girl, you better check out these new fellas, the nurse closer to me said. We have some fine ones in this bunch. I didn't bother to turn around. Because we were a teaching hospital, students of all types came through our unit. The men were usually married, some willing to have extramarital affairs, but few serious relationships lasted beyond the time of their residency or fellowship. I glanced over at the backs of three men and a woman paying close attention to Dr. Squires, who was obviously enjoying being the center of attention. Turning my back to them, I continued settling the baby in my charge in the isolette, tucking his little limbs in close to his body, building a blanketed nest around him to provide a sense of security. I thought the fellows had all gone, but realized one was still there when I heard and felt a familiar but now deeper voice and presence directly behind me. So, you really did grow up to become a nurse and take care of children. Joseph! I faced him with a gasp and joyous smile. I didn't bother to hide it. I wondered if it was really you who left that message saying you'd see me today. What are you doing here? And how did you know I would be here? You didn't respond on Facebook. I wanted to surprise you, and I didn't go back on Facebook after I left that message, so I didn't even know if you saw it. How are you? He wrapped his arms around me in a bear hug and planted a friendly kiss on my forehead, just as he had years before. Even though I was nearly 30, I felt like a kid in the presence of a man. Fighting the desire not to melt into his embrace, I responded, Of course, I saw your little cryptic message. And again, what are you doing here? And how did you know I'd be here? Aware that we were still locked in an embrace in the middle of the NICU with everyone watching, I felt self conscious and stepped back. Dr. Squire stood beside Joseph, curiously sizing me up with icy blue eyes. Her carnation pink skin with even pinker lips, shoulder length tresses, flipped upward at the end, and prima donna persona had earned her the nickname Barbie by the nurses. She stood silently, frozen, her ultra slender frame shifting restlessly, waiting for Joseph to leave with her. Realizing he and I were going to continue our conversation, she cleared her throat to signal him. Oh, hey, he said, I'm sure you know Wendy Squires, the chief of neonatology. I'm going to be working with her. I'm doing a neonatal fellowship here. And I'm sure you know Aisha, free woman, NICU nurse extraordinaire, he said, smiling. He gestured with his right hand, then his left as he made introductions, presenting us to each other. Dr. Squires, she said, disinviting me to address her by her first name. I smiled and said, Hello, then turned my attention back to Joseph. Of course, I knew who she was and knew she had little regard for me or any of the other nurses, but I was flying too high to be bothered by whatever energy she was putting out at that time. She turned and walked away, but Joseph didn't follow. Thank you, Dr. Squires. I'll see you tomorrow, he called to her, retreating back. She turned to Joseph and said, Wendy. He and I shot each other curious and knowing glances, but continued the conversation unscathed. What? I knew you were going to med school. I didn't know you were going into pediatrics, much less specializing in neonatology. That is so awesome. Well, you said you were going to save all the little children, so I figured you'd need some help. We laughed hard. I can't believe you remember the stuff I was saying that night. I'll never forget that night. I told you I was coming back to help you. You certainly did. How did you know I worked here? Facebook. You're hardly ever on Facebook. I hardly ever post on Facebook, but you do. I read your posts all the time. Stalker, I had to know where to find you when the time was right, and I had to make sure you weren't getting married and moving away on me. You told me not to, so you remember that night too. Oh my God, Ayan cooed in my head. How could we forget that night? That was the best night ever. You do recall that I was high as a kite, right? And that Marissa's boyfriend spiked my drink with Molly. I addressed Ayanla internally. Maybe he did, and maybe he didn't. Marissa said he didn't. You can't prove that he did. Maybe it was just the magic of the night. Joseph waited, watching me curiously. Where did you go? He teased. Back to that night. We laughed again. Hey, I'm going to take off and try to get ahead of traffic. I'm commuting from San Francisco. I stared at him, captivated by his good looks. I had memorized his features a long time ago. Now, nearly 15 years later, he'd grown even more handsome. His hair was longer, wavy, combed back from his forehead, sprinkled with a glitter of silver. His caramel colored skin was still smooth and wrinkle free. The fine, silky teenage mustache was thick and dark now, with matching glitter, perfectly framing his full, enticing lips. He was smiling, revealing his nearly perfect pearly whites, the chip in his canine still visible. I was there when it happened. He'd fallen while attempting to race over huddles at one of our middle school track practices. His father had scolded him for fooling around and told him to stick to long distance running because he obviously wasn't a hurdler. He'd grumbled about how much money he'd spent on Joseph's braces only to have Joseph turning around looking like a foolish jack o' lantern. I was angry at Coach Moret at the time, thinking he should be comforting Joseph, who'd been hurt, instead of scolding him. I'd glared at my coach, turned a scrunched face to him, rolled my eyes, and rushed to help Joseph to his feet, handing him my clean towel to wipe the blood from his busted lip. I remember he was laughing to cover his embarrassment. He'd swirled the towel around to form a line and playfully popped me with it before pressing it against his swollen mouth. Joseph had played it off, but I could see he was hurting. And he certainly did not look like a jack o' lantern. I thought he was still very handsome with his chipped tooth. In my teenage crush, I'd kept the towel for the longest time, not washing it because it had Joseph's blood on it. My mother, grossed out by seeing it on my nightstand for so long, finally washed it without my permission. Seeing the chip now reminded me of all that. It didn't take away from his good looks at all. Rather, it added a boyish charm. Everything about him was good to me. He was the epitome of good, regardless. I have two bedrooms, I blurted out. Well, one room is really an office with a very comfortable futon in it, but you can spend the night and sleep on it if you don't feel like driving back tonight. Sayanla said, laughing. That was way too eager and way too soon. Besides, San Francisco isn't that far from Oakland. It's barely a commute at all. She was right, on all accounts. I hadn't seen Joseph in person in nearly 15 years. Still, it felt like no time had passed. I felt perfectly comfortable and safe inviting him to spend me in the night. Although he was the secret love of my life, I figured he'd probably consider me a friend and identified with our relationship as one of athlete and coach. Now that's the best offer I've had since I can remember. But I'm going to take a rain check. I'm not prepared to stay, but the next time you make that offer, I'm going to take you up on it. Cool. Feeling a little embarrassed and not wanting to seem desperate, I changed the subject. Do you still run? Every chance I get. Well, keep your running gear in your trunk. I have a marina trail I want to take you on when you stay. Wow, I'm looking forward to it. Don't take too long to ask me again. He smiled, gazing directly into my soul. My heart swelled, filling me with that delicious feeling reserved for Joseph. That was Thursday. On Friday, I invited him again. I bought a bunch of Chinese food last night, or the night before last, and I have a lot left. I don't want to waste it. Want to come help me eat it after a run? You can sleep in the spare bedroom if you want. He grinned, and I melted like always. I had a feeling you were going to ask me today. Yes, I'd like to take you up on that offer. Do you have any duck in that Chinese food? Yep, I didn't, but I ordered both crispy and pressed duck on the way home, just in case either was his favorite. I picked up another bottle of wine since I demolished the last one. Go slow. Don't sleep with him yet, Ayana warned. This time, sis, I'm going to listen to you, I assured her. Jogging along the marina with Joseph felt comfortable and familiar. We matched steps for a while, then I gave him permission to take his own stride. Do your own stride, I said, repeating to him the words that he'd often say to me many times before at my track as my track coach. Your legs are longer than mine. No, today I want to run beside you. My heart grew warm and swelled inside my chest, my breath catching in my throat. Could I love this man any more at this moment? I told you, Ayanla said. Where are you putting all that? He asked later as we were devouring the Chinese food. You have the body of a fitness model, but you throw down food like you just don't care. Is that supposed to be a compliment? Never mind. I'm just going to take it as one. Yes, I love to eat, so it's a good thing I love to run. He raised his glass and we clinked them together. A woman after my own heart. I concur completely. I love to eat and I love to run too. And yes, that was definitely a compliment. I caught up with his life as the night went on. I was flattered and slightly unnerved by the way he'd kept up with my life on Facebook. You were paying way too much attention on Facebook. How come you never just picked up the phone and called? You know, you can call people through Facebook Messenger, right? I know. The timing wasn't right until now. You were in a groove, I was in a groove, and it was right to wait. I'd have to agree with that. Your timing is perfect. I wondered what would have happened if he had contacted me when I was dating Sagai. I was so glad I had moved on from him by the time Joseph called. Ayala was right. By releasing Sagai, I was open to receiving something better. Joseph and I talked about many things that night. I didn't tell him about Ayala, although she was very present, interjecting thoughts and comments into my mind. I had never spoken to anyone other than my parents, Daniel and Antoinita, about Ayala and barely spoke of her to them. Do not sleep with him tonight, Ayala warned again. I nodded. Do you have to work tomorrow? He asked. No, it's my weekend off. Perfect. I don't work tomorrow either. We just went in Thursday and Friday this week to orient at the hospital and see the NICU. We start our rotation on Monday. At 1 in the morning, an involuntary yawn escaped as I covered my mouth. You worked all day. I'm sure you're tired. I didn't disagree. I showed him the guest room and provided him with brand new but washed fluffy white towels. Just like the towel you handed me when I cracked my tooth, he said. You remember everything, I grinned. I was thinking about that too. You never fixed that chip. Nah, reminds me of good times. Good night, Joseph. Good night, he said and kissed me on my forehead. I practically stomped my foot in protest. Well done, Ayala said. Oh my God, I wanted him so bad. I shook my head and shoulders out of frustration and defiance. I know. Thank you for listening to me. Let me lead on this one. Thank you. I trust you. My pleasure. I got you. He didn't even try to kiss me, though I whined. He will. Go slow. Our morning goodbye was so polite I could hardly stand it. I didn't like to cook and would rather have gone out to breakfast, but I offered to fix him something to eat because I thought I should. Almost as if he sensed my insincerity, Joseph laughed and told me he needed to get going. He gave me the nicest hug, then kissed me on the forehead and each cheek. I turned my head and rolled my eyes while facing away from him. Ayanla teased, Hey, he advanced from a kiss on the forehead to a kiss on each cheek. Thank you for inviting me to stay. I had a great time. It's good to reconnect with you. The lack of a real kiss annoyed and slightly angered me. I wondered if he was romantically interested in me at all. My pleasure. I'll see you at the hospital. He looked a little confused, too. Good, Ayanla said. Let him wonder. What did I do wrong? I don't think he likes me. He does. He's just taking it slowly. I hated feeling like he didn't like me the way I liked him. The old feelings of not being good enough, not being worthy of his affection, crept up. I had to nip the feelings I had for him in the bud before I got hurt. I knew it was probably too late, but I decided that I wouldn't let him know how much I liked him. 3 months passed before I invited him to spend the night again. It rained hard all day, and the wind whipped trees around the hospital windows. I asked him if he wanted to stay to wait out the storm. Traffic's going to be horrible with the rain and wind. There will probably be accidents. Do you want to stay until the storm passes or sleep over tonight? This place needs you alive. Thanks for the offer. I'm going to take you up on it. You're already packed, huh? Did you know I was going to invite you to stay? No, I was going to stay in a hotel. I heard about the storm warnings for the weekend. I like the idea of spending the night with you much better. We'd grown closer over the months, chatting at work, taking lunch breaks together, sending instant messages over the phone, and jogging or running at a nearby park after work when time allowed. We were comfortable with each other. Ayama was right. He did like me. I don't know that he loved me, but I was sure he liked me. I loved him tremendously. It was still raining hard at the end of my shift. Since I had no interest in cooking and I didn't like to be out in stormy weather, I offered to pick up dinner. Chinese or African food? Let's do something different tonight. What kind of African food you talking about? Ethiopian? I fought the twinge of mixed reminiscence of enjoying Ethiopian food with Sagai. Oddly, sometimes I missed him. It passed quickly when I heard Joseph answer, Absolutely. Get whatever you like, plus get shrimp tibs if they have it. I should be done here around 5. Later, we were at my gold frame. Later, we sat at my gold frame smoked glass dining room table in front of an Ethiopian spread of fermented flatbread injera, spicy chicken dishes, Doro tibs, Doro wat, salad, and shrimp tibs. Joseph watched appreciatively as I wrapped the injera around a chunk of chicken and a piece of boiled egg and plunged the hefty morsel in my mouth. I like eating with you, Aisha, because you enjoy eating. I've been around women who talk about their carbs, calories, points, or whatever throughout the whole meal. Some of them even take out their phones and enter their intake before the meal is finished. He groaned. Don't be fooled. I am mentally calculating how long I'm going to have to run to burn off this meal and the plum wine we're drinking right now. Well, whatever you're doing to maintain that amazing body of yours, you're doing it right. Thank you. Genetics and a passion for running are on my side. He locked his eyes onto mine. You are beautiful inside and out. You know that? Suddenly I felt shy, but masked it with a show of bravado. Thanks again. I just look like my mother, so I can't take credit for it. As for being beautiful on the inside, it's God in me. He laughed, obviously amused. I'd really like to talk more about God in you this evening, if you don't mind, after we finish eating. Can we do that? Absolutely. God is my favorite subject. Want me to build you a fire? I asked after we finished eating and washing the dishes. No, I don't want you to have to do all that. It's easy, I said, flicking the switch on my electric fireplace. Do you like India Ari? No doubt. I told Alexa to play a mix of India Ari songs, then settled onto the couch with Joseph. Good to see you. I snuggled comfortably into his arms and kissed him on the lips. I meant for it to be a short kiss, but he pulled me into a deep, lingering, sensuous tongue caressing experience, all the while stroking every part of my body his long arms could reach. It was divine and perfect. As a moan escaped from my soul, he whispered, before we go any further, let's talk about God and you. Although God truly was one of my favorite subjects, the timing felt awkward. Still, when Joseph continued, I realized why now was the right time for him to ask. I knew you were an amazing NICU nurse, but I didn't know you were so religious. The other day, I was telling one of the nurses I doubted the baby she was taking care of was going to make it, so I was going to bring the parents in to talk to them about the prognosis and their options. The nurse told me I should get you to talk with the parents after I did. She said they might want you to baptize their baby if they didn't have their own chaplain or priest they wanted to call in. I nodded, wondering where he was going with that. So, just how religious are you? I shrugged. I'm not religious at all. To me, a religious person is someone who follows a set of rules and rituals laid out by others. A religious person is expected to follow the organization's rules whether they believe in them or not, and whether they want to follow those rules or not. I could never do that. I am spiritual, though, and I am serious about my spiritual practice and my relationship with the Holy Spirit. When I refer to God in me, I am also acknowledging that God is in you and in every living being, because God is the essence of life itself, omnipresent, everywhere evenly present. There is no place that God is not. I paused, wondering if I was making sense to Joseph or if I was sounding like some kind of fanatic. He waited, showing genuine interest, so I continued. Metaphorically, I think of God as the ocean and us as drops of ocean water. A drop of ocean water contains all the properties of the ocean, yet it is not the ocean in its entirety. Likewise, human beings, being direct emanations of God, contain all the properties of God, yet we are not God in entirety. Like Jesus said, I and my Father are one. Yet my Father is greater than I. Joseph drew closer, his head tilted to the side, waiting to hear more. I also acknowledge that God is love, peace, joy, happiness, and everything good. God is good itself. God is omniscient, all knowing. God is omnipotent, all powerful. Because God is all powerful, there can be no opposing power of evil, which is only what we see when we take our eyes off God. Being love, God is the most powerful source in the universe. God is all in all. I leaned in and slowly licked Joseph's slightly open mouth, kissed and appreciatively, then whispered, God is yummy and God is delicious. I taste the deliciousness of God in you. A quiet moan escaped from his throat. You make God sound sexy. Does God allow you to have sex? He gives us free will to choose how we live. Christ came so we can enjoy life and have it more abundantly and enjoy it to the fullest. I have no intention of letting Christ's coming be in vain. Isn't that blasphemy, young lady? No, blasphemy is when we say something about God that isn't true. I'm saying God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. To say anything to the contrary would be blasphemy. Is that a yes? Then we can make love, finally. Won't you get in trouble with God? I told you, I am spiritual, not religious. I have my own relationship with God. Nobody else gets to dictate to me what it's supposed to be. God and me, we're good regardless. I don't follow rules I don't believe in. I believe in enjoying the life God gave me, and I intend to enjoy it with you. I kissed him again, sliding my tongue into his waiting mouth, basking in the delightful God given gift that was Joseph Moret. His body responded voluntarily and involuntarily, bringing me to heights of ecstasy with his moans, groans, gasps, and writhing from passionate kissing alone. We were just getting started. Before the night was over, we shed our clothing and he slid on a condom. It was a wonderful night of connecting, reminiscing, joking, laughing, sharing, caring, and magical lovemaking. We were in the dawn of our relationship, a new beginning. I wasn't worried about a thing. I trusted God and I trusted Joseph Moret. India Ari sang in the background of our love manifestation. I am not the color of my eyes. I am not the skin on the outside. I am not my age. I am not my race. My soul inside is all light. I am divinity defined. I am the God on the inside. I am a star, a piece of it all. I am light. After that night, we continued to see each other regularly, calling and texting throughout the day when we weren't together, connecting on every aspect of life. We met for lunch in the hospital cafeteria or outside in the courtyard when the weather was nice, as often as our schedules would allow. I loved working with Joseph in the NICU. He was a great doctor, smart, competent, and confident, but not arrogant. He had no problem asking me what I thought about aspects of neonatal care and respected my opinion. We worked together as well as we made love, ran, ate, and laughed together. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this reading and if you'd like to get your own copy and continue the journey, just click the link in my description box to order your book. This is Dr. Andrea Hall saying, enjoy your life. Thank you.